Howdy, hi, hello, welcome to today's video. It is currently really snowy outside, so it looks really beautiful. It's the first snowfall that we've had here in Boston, but I don't know why I became a weather person right now, but just so you know, it's snowing here. I thought that it would be such a perfect time to sit and talk about some of my reading goals, as well as reflecting back on my 2023 reading goals and seeing if I even accomplished them or not. Hopefully the lighting is okay. I feel like it's a little bit darker in this room than it normally is because it's overcast, and I don't want to turn on the big light, so I refuse to turn on the big light. Hopefully this is okay. I have a cup of tea because I'm starting to feel a little bit sleepy, so if you want to get a little warm beverage and we can just sit and hang out and talk about goals, I highly recommend it. I am drinking Earl Grey. It's like my favorite tea, so if ever I'm drinking a tea, it's most likely Earl Grey, or I guess matcha. I love matcha. All right, enough with the weather and my beverage choices. Let's just dive into my 2023 reading goals and taking a look at what I had set for last year and if I completed them. I had to take a look back at my previous video. I did a top 7 reads of 2022 and then reading goals, and I could not remember any of the reading goals. I had some that I kind of remembered, but it had been a minute since I really sat down and looked at what my goals were, which isn't great because that just tells you that I probably didn't really achieve a lot of those goals that I had set. But looking back at my video, my very first goal was to make a physical dent in my TBR. Nope. To make a dent in my physical TBR. I didn't really do a great job at keeping track of that information, so I don't actually know if I achieved it. I looked back on Storygraph and I reviewed the books that I had read last year. Out of 57, 28 of those books are books that I physically own, but I feel like that number is kind of skewed because some of those I think I bought and then read. So I don't really think that I hit that goal, but I do think 28 out of 57 books that I physically own, that's pretty good, but I don't really know that I actually completed this one. My second goal was to continue using the library. I feel like I definitely did that. Again, I didn't really necessarily keep track of those books, but when I was looking back at the books that I read, 25 of them were from the library. I say 25 hesitantly because I don't remember if they were books that I got through Libby or if I got them through Scribd, or I guess Everand now. The audiobooks are the ones that I don't really remember / didn't keep track of. So for this one, I don't really know that I completed it. I think I'm gonna say I did complete it because I do feel like I used my library a lot and I kept using it. So to me, that sounds like I completed it. The third goal that I had set for 2023 was to read more books in Spanish. And this one, I'm going to have to say it was a hard no. There were 3 different books that I had tried to start reading in Spanish, but didn't finish them. So this one I can definitely say that I did not complete. But in 2024, it's not like a set goal or anything. It's just something that I'd like to just keep in the back of my mind to try and read at least a book in Spanish. Part of me is should I read a graphic novel in Spanish? Would that be easier for me to kind of dip my toes in? Maybe, I don't know. But for 2023, I did not complete this goal, sadly. The fourth goal that I had was to read more backlist books. This one was also kind of hard for me to keep track of. I think I did read some backlist, but I don't think enough. And in the video that I filmed, I really wanted to read more backlist from authors that I had read books that I really loved. I don't think I did that at all, so I'm gonna say I didn't really complete this one. I could have done better, I think, with this specific reading goal. And then the last and final goal that I had set was to be consistent on YouTube. And this one I can definitely say was a yes. I feel like I was very consistent. I tried to post every 2 weeks. I think that there was 1 week I missed or was late. I don't remember. But for the most part, I posted consistently. Very proud of myself for continuing on and keeping up with that every 2 weeks of postings. All right, so now that we have the little review of the 2023 goals that I had set for myself, let's dive into the funky, fresh 2024 reading goals that I have created for myself. There's one main goal that I have this year, and all the reading goals that I'm setting for myself are kind of to help with that one main goal. That one main goal is to figure out what I like in a book. What are the things I'm looking for when I'm picking up a book? As 2023 was coming to an end, I feel like this is something that I was thinking a lot about. When I got back into reading, I was looking at what a lot of other people were recommending and suggesting, and then I started my Bookstagram, and that was another way for me to find more books. And I had been watching booktube for a while, so I would get recommendations that way. But I've noticed that I don't typically go into a bookstore and just pick a book that I haven't heard anyone talk about and see if I like the description of it and if it's something that would interest me. I feel like with being on Bookstagram and being on BookTube, it's definitely a little bit intimidating for me to read a book that doesn't have a lot of buzz, which is so interesting to say because I feel like I don't know that necessarily a lot of people have that issue, but I feel like with me, if a book doesn't have a lot of buzz and not a lot of people are talking about it, I instantly get so nervous that like if I read it, what if I love it or hate it and other people don't agree? And that alone, I'm like, no. That is not what reading is about. There's just this pressure that I add to myself where it's like this extra stress of like when I'm reading a book, I'm reading it, but I'm also wondering if other people are gonna like it and not necessarily just sitting and reading this book and processing how I'm feeling about it. I don't know if anyone else really relates to that, but I just wanted to share it because that's something that I've been feeling and thinking about, and I just want to, gain some of that confidence to figure out what I like and be confident with what I like. So that's the biggest goal. For my very first goal, it's just a reading goal that I'm setting. So typically each year I slowly increase the amount of books that I'm reading. Like I said in my reading stats, I don't remember what my initial goal was because I had changed it since I had reached my goal, but I think it was 50 or 55. Something like that. But this year I'm setting my goal to 65 books. If I don't reach it, I don't reach it. But I'm very hopeful that I might be able to reach it this year because I do want to read more tinies and I want to read more graphic novels. I also just love to gamify things. If I can gamify something, I will. And something about updating my story graph and seeing the little progress bar increase, I love that. It gives me a rush. So it's mostly for that. Okay, and the second goal that I'd like to complete is the 10 Books, 10 Decades Challenge. This is hosted and created by Reggie Reads. This is going to be my third year participating. Typically, I feel like I've only ever gotten 3 or 4 books in. I've never gotten close to the 10. So this year, I really want to prioritize it. I want to be mindful of the books that I'm picking up and seeing what year they were published. I don't think I'm going to set a set TBR. I want to kind of pick books up as I go and see what year they fall in. I would love to finally complete it this year. Please, I hope that the third time's the charm is true in this case. This is going to be a big year-long challenge for me. And now goal number 3, which kind of relates to the previous goal, is that I don't want to participate in that many year-long goals. So I know I just said I'm going to be participating in the 10 Books, 10 Decades Challenge, but that's going to be the only year-long challenge that I'm participating in. I think last year I participated in 4 total, including the 10 Books, 10 Decades, and I think that was just a little bit too much for me. It was hard to keep up with. I wasn't adding pressure to make sure to complete all of them, but it was in the back of my mind, and I was thinking about how I wasn't reading the books that were on the challenges or books that I had in mind for the challenge, and I think that just stressed me out a little bit. I'd like to just participate in challenges as they come up. I don't think I'll do as many this year. I kind of want to just focus on the 10 Books, 10 Decades, like I said. So less reading challenges, more focusing on whatever I want to read this year. Okay, goal number 4 is to find at least 2 favorite authors this year. What I mean by that is I want to find an author that I really love a book of and read more of their books. So I'm thinking that I'll read 2 or 3 of their books, and that will be what I consider to be a favorite author if I have read 2 or 3 of those books and have loved them. That's the plan. I think 2 authors is a good number. I feel like for the whole year, that's a good number to start. I don't think any more or any less. I think 2 is good. And if I find more than 2, even better. But I think 2 is a good, no pressure number. And I have to say a huge thanks to Ivana for this one. I was brainstorming with her to try and figure out some of my goals, and she had suggested this and I loved it. So I wanted to include that. I think that's a really great goal. All right, and then goal number 4, which kind of relates to goal number 3. Am I doing these right? No. I think this is goal number 5. I'm pretty sure this is goal number 5. I am looking at my notes and I totally just miscounted. So goal number 5 is to read more books from authors that I've already enjoyed. I have this weird issue where I find a book by an author that I really love and I want to read more from that author, go through their backlist, but I can't. I feel like I get so wrapped up in like new releases and other authors, and I just read like 1 or 2 of their books maybe. And I want to say that I have read multiple books by an author that I really enjoy. So Miriam Toews is one of them. I have only read one Elena Ferrante, but I loved that one, so I want to dive more into Elena Ferrante. And who else? Oh, Samantha Schweblin. I loved Fever Dream. I want to read more Samantha Schweblin. All of those authors, for the most part, I've only read 1, except for Miriam Toews. I've read 2, but I just want to like dive into their backlist, and I don't want to be so concerned about making sure I'm reading the newest authors that are out or the newest books that are out. I really want to focus on backlists. All right, goal number 5 is to complete at least 2 to 4 rereads this year. Rereading a book, that's another thing where I have a hard time rereading because there's new books coming out, or there's more books that I've wanted to read and I want to get to them. So I feel like if I reread a book, I'm going to be wasting my time, which does not make sense. That's not true. I feel like you could get so much out of a book that you've already read by reading it a second time, a third time. I don't know why I feel that way. I don't know why I can't just like sit and reread a book that I've really enjoyed. But this year, I'd really like to do that. And I think that it could also help with that goal of figuring out what I like. Going back to a book that I loved and seeing what I loved about it, that could be really beneficial. Also, in 2023, I started annotating, so I feel like it'll just be really fun to go back to those books and actually write in them and highlight them. I think it would just give me a different experience being able to annotate them. So that's another one of my goals that I'm hoping to reach this year. All right, my last and final goal of 2024 is, well, I guess I should say my last and final bookish goal, because I do have some YouTube goals that I want to share. But my last bookish goal is that I want to seek out books that don't have a lot of buzz. And that's something that's just like so intimidating to me, because like I said, something about picking up a book that no one's talked about stresses me out for some reason. And I think it's because when there's a book that has a lot of buzz, there's like comfort in knowing that like people really love this book, and there's comfort in knowing that I could look at reviews to kind of compare how I'm feeling and seeing if other people also relate. But picking up a book that no one's talking about and having to like put out my final opinion for some reason stresses me out, even though it doesn't matter. It's my own opinion. It's how I feel about the book. So I think this will be a really big challenge for me to go to a bookstore and just not pick up books that I see everywhere, but pick up a book solely because of the description and because it sounds like something that would interest me. As much as it's like really intimidating to me for some reason, I think it'll be really good and will probably be the best way for me to reach my main goal. As I'm like talking about this, I wonder if this has anything to do with just like the amount of reviews, and like you can go on Goodreads, you can go on Storygraph, you can go on Instagram, you can go on YouTube. Like there's so many different places you can go to hear what other people think about books. So I wonder if anyone else feels this way, or if it's just me. I don't know. I feel like if you also feel similarly, I would love to know, because I am curious. Is it because of the rise of reviews being everywhere, or is it my people pleaser tendencies that I'm working on? Who knows? I did want to talk about some YouTube goals that I have. I don't have anything like super set, but these are just some things I was thinking about and would like to kind of change or feel more confident about as I'm going into 2024. And the first one is I want to start making short form content. I've never really done that before. I've never created like a reel or a short or anything like that. I think it'd be fun to see the differences between like long form and short form. I personally love long form content, like I love YouTube, but I'd like to see what it's like to make like a reading vlog in a reel or a short. I want to play around with short form. I want to see what I can do and what I can make. I am curious because I don't know if I would want to do like YouTube shorts or if I want to do Instagram reels or both. I don't have TikTok, and I'm like too nervous to even think about downloading TikTok because I feel like if I downloaded it, I would just fall in forever and I would never come back out of this TikTok hole. So I am I'm specifically thinking those two. I would really love to know because that might help me with figuring out if I want to use one or the other or both. So let me know. I feel like I use a mix of both. More so Instagram Reels. I feel like I find myself scrolling through those a bit more than YouTube, but open to hear whatever you prefer. Okay, and then my goal number 2 is kind of vague because I don't really know yet. So I want to figure out what I like for reading wrap-ups and how I like to make them, because right now reading wrap-ups are like the most daunting task for me, but I think that they're really beneficial still because I can share what I'm reading and what my thoughts are, and it would be a really good practice for me to talk about books and figure out what I like about them. So part of me is like, no, you should definitely still keep them. So I'll probably keep it, but maybe I'll adjust the format. I don't think I'm going to do them monthly because I think it would be hard to do any other kinds of videos. If I'm only doing 2 videos a month, I might do like quarterly reading wrap-ups. Like I said, I'm still thinking about this one, so let me know if you have any thoughts and opinions on this. I just wanted to set 2 goals for YouTube. I didn't have anything big. I'd like to continue being consistent. I still want to post twice a month. I would love to post more than twice a month, but I don't think that's really feasible for me. I don't want to burn myself out. Yeah, those are all the goals that I'm setting for 2024, bookish and YouTube related. I had a lot of fun sitting down and figuring out some of these goals because it really forced me to like take a look back at my reading and what I want to change and what I want to improve on. I'm really excited for the goals that I set and the intentions that I have going into 2024. So I'm really hoping that 2024 is going to be a really good reading year for me. I really appreciate you for clicking on my video and choosing to hang out with me. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a great start to the new year, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.